Richie Mo'unga is back in the All Blacks environment, but this time, the story is not simply about a famous fly-half returning to the squad. It is about trust, timing, competition, and whether Mo'unga can turn an unexpected recall into a genuine opportunity ahead of the Springboks series. After spending the past 3 seasons playing in Japan, the 32-year-old has received a late call-up to Dave Rennie's squad as injury cover following Billy Proctor's shoulder injury. And while many fans will immediately wonder whether Mo'unga could be handed the number 10 jersey against South Africa, the player himself is taking a much more measured approach. Speaking after receiving the call, Mo'unga made it clear that he is simply grateful to be involved and is prepared to contribute in whatever role the coaching staff decide. His message was particularly interesting because he admitted that he would be happy even if his return does not immediately lead to playing time. For a player with his experience and reputation, that is a remarkably calm attitude, but it also reveals how aware Mo'unga is of the challenge in front of him. He knows that returning to the All Blacks is not the same as automatically earning a place in the matchday squad. A lot of work and a lot of trust still have to be earned, and that could become one of the biggest themes of his return. Mo'unga has not played for the All Blacks since the 2023 Rugby World Cup, and during his time away from New Zealand rugby, the international landscape has changed. He has now returned to Canterbury, made 2 appearances in the NPC, and suddenly finds himself heading to South Africa with a chance to work his way back into the national setup. The timing of the recall is especially important. Mo'unga is expected to arrive in South Africa on Friday, which makes it unlikely that he will feature in the upcoming clash with the Bulls. That leaves him with limited time to impress before the first test against the Springboks, and there is already strong competition for the fly-half position. Ruben Love has been one of the standout players in the recent All Blacks campaign, starting all 3 Nations Championship tests, while Beauden Barrett remains one of the most experienced playmakers in New Zealand rugby. Jacomb is also part of the competition, and Damian McKenzie remains another option when fit. That means Mo'unga is returning to a position that is far from guaranteed. His reputation may open the door, but it will not necessarily keep the door open. The situation becomes even more interesting when McKenzie's fitness is considered. Following the All Blacks' big win over the Sharks, Rennie revealed that McKenzie had taken a knock and was a little uncomfortable. The coaching staff decided to take the cautious approach, strapping the area and removing him from the game. Rennie did not sound overly concerned and said he expected McKenzie to be available for the first test, but injuries can quickly change selection plans during an international campaign. If McKenzie is unavailable or limited, the competition for the fly-half role could become even more significant, potentially giving Mo'unga a clearer pathway into the matchday squad. However, there is another important factor here. Mo'unga knows that selection cannot simply be based on what he achieved in the past. His return to New Zealand rugby has been relatively recent, and he has only played 2 matches for Canterbury since coming back from Japan. That is why his comments about trust are so important. Rather than talking about what he believes he deserves, Mo'unga is talking about what he needs to prove. He understands that Rennie and the coaching staff need to see where he fits within the current All Blacks system. The head coach has already established his own preferences, combinations and tactical ideas, and Mo'unga now has to show that he can adapt quickly. His recall also has an interesting backstory. When the original All Black squad was announced, Mo'unga was not eligible for selection because of his time playing in Japan. His decision to return to New Zealand and play for Canterbury changed that situation. Suddenly, a player who had been outside the international picture was back within reach of the All Blacks jersey. That made his NPC return much more significant than simply another domestic appearance. Every match had the potential to reopen the international door, and now that door has opened. Mo'unga was initially scheduled to start for Canterbury this weekend, but the All Blacks call has changed those plans completely. Instead of preparing for another domestic match, he is preparing to join a squad facing one of the biggest challenges in world rugby. And the contrast could hardly be greater. He is moving from domestic rugby in New Zealand to an international environment in South Africa, where every training session will be closely watched and every selection decision will carry extra importance. Yet Mo'unga appears to be embracing the opportunity rather than placing pressure on himself. He explained that he had not spent too much time thinking about a potential recall because he had been focused on Canterbury, including their Ranfurly Shield responsibilities. That tells us something about his mindset. He was not sitting around waiting for a phone call. He was concentrating on playing rugby, preparing for each match and making sure that if an opportunity arrived, he would be ready. That opportunity has now arrived sooner than many expected. The next question is what Rennie actually wants from him. Does the coaching staff see Mo'unga as immediate cover? Is he being brought in because of concerns around McKenzie? Or could he genuinely challenge for a place in the 23 before the Springboks tests? At this stage, there is no reason to assume that selection is guaranteed, and Mo'unga himself has not suggested otherwise. In fact, his comments point in the opposite direction. He is prepared to play, but he is equally prepared to contribute away from the field if that is what the team requires. That attitude could be valuable inside a squad preparing for a major series. Experience matters, particularly when younger or less experienced players are dealing with the pressure of Test rugby. Mo'unga has been through major international campaigns, World Cup pressure and high-level matches against some of the best teams in the world. Even if he does not immediately start, his presence gives Rennie another experienced voice in the group. But from a rugby perspective, the biggest intrigue remains his potential return to the All Blacks number 10 jersey. At his best, Mo'unga has been one of New Zealand's most influential attacking playmakers, known for his ability to control tempo, distribute the ball and create opportunities for the players around him. The challenge now is to determine how that skill set fits into Rennie's current vision. The All Blacks have already shown signs of building a new identity under their current coaching setup, and the selection of Mo'unga could add another layer to that development. It is also worth remembering that Mo'unga is not returning as the same player who left New Zealand after the 2023 World Cup. 3 seasons in Japan have given him a different rugby experience, while his time away from the All Blacks has allowed other players to develop. He now returns to a team with new combinations, different expectations, and fresh competition. That makes this recall less about nostalgia and more about adaptation. Can Mo'unga quickly understand what Rennie wants? Can he build trust with the coaching staff and teammates? And perhaps most importantly, can he demonstrate that his current form deserves to be part of the All Blacks' plans for the Springboks series? Those questions will not be answered by his reputation alone. They will be answered on the training field, through his performances, and ultimately through the selections made by Rennie. For now, though, the first step has been taken. Mo'unga is heading to South Africa, and he is doing so with a clear understanding of the situation. He has not demanded a starting role. He has not assumed that his past achievements guarantee anything. Instead, he has acknowledged that trust needs to be earned. That may be the most revealing part of this entire recall. For the All Blacks, bringing back a player of Mo'unga's experience provides another option at a crucial time. For Mo'unga, it is an opportunity to reconnect with the international environment and potentially write another chapter in his All Blacks career. Whether that chapter begins with a starting jersey, a place on the bench, or simply a supporting role remains uncertain. But with the Springboks series approaching, the timing could not be more intriguing. Rennie now has another experienced fly half available, and Mo'unga has another chance to prove himself, and the competition for the All Blacks backline has become even more fascinating. The important point is that nothing has been decided yet, and Mo'unga has earned his opportunity to return, but he knows the next step has to be earned as well. And as he arrives in South Africa, all eyes will be on whether this unexpected recall can develop into something much bigger before the All Blacks face the Springboks. Richie